Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, good evening, everyone. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining. So, we will get started soon. Hey, Dhanesh, good evening.
Hello, Sudhir. Good evening.
How are you?
Hello, everyone. Good, good, I'm well. Just give me a minute. I'm just trying to switch to my
Sure.
Bluetooth.
Okay, so thanks everyone for joining. So, I'm just sending the messages in the group that the session has started. So, just give me 1 second.
Sure, Sudhir, take your time.
Yep. So, thanks
We are
everyone for
still.
joining. Yeah. Let me just give an introduction. So this is a part of the Canada IT Club where we are trying to build our professional relationship and share the information. And we have been conducting a lot of sessions on specific topics, which wide range varies from like job search tips to agile data analysis. Or banking domain knowledge, then real estate, taxes, finance, mortgage, and everything. And if you are interested, you can let me know. I'll keep you posted whenever we have these kinds of sessions. So, most of the sessions this year we have done it in LinkedIn, but previous years we have been using different mediums like Clubhouse and all for our sessions, but this year it's mostly in LinkedIn. So this is purely an informational sessions, and we are trying to build our professional relationships and professional network here in Canada. So that is the objective of this group called Canada IT Club. So every week we will have sessions, and we live stream the session in YouTube, and we have the LinkedIn page also, Canada IT Club and Get Hired in Canada. So this Get Hired in Canada is a page where I share a lot of job opportunities, which is shared by the recruiters in Canada. So today's session is mainly focusing on our Agile journey, the career paths in Agile, how to get started as a Scrum Master, and what are the career options in the Agile world. And you can we can also use this opportunity to um, and get to know each other, whoever is working in the agile world. It's a small world in Canada, really, so we have to have very good rapport with the other agile folks and share the ideas what we have. So this is a start for that. And if you guys are interested in professional networking or improving your agile network, let me know. We can arrange subsequent sessions on this. So today's session, I have invited Dhanesh and Aina Alive. So thanks, Dhanesh and Aina, for joining. I know it's 9 o'clock is an odd time, but yeah, it's a summer, and everyone is free. Might get free by 9 o'clock. That is the reason why I choose this spot. So thanks for joining. And just before we get started, Danesh have been my mentor for a few years. He helped me a lot in getting started in Canada. Again, as any newcomer, I was also getting getting surprises when I reached Canada, and when I was trying to switch the job, it was pretty hard. And Danesh helped me in getting started in Canada, and from that day onwards, he have been my professional mentor in many aspects. So that is just a quick intro for Danish. But yeah, I'll let Danish take over this. So Danish, please go ahead, and thanks for joining. So please go ahead with it.
Thank you very much, Sudhir, and thank you very much for your kind mention of me being mentor. But it like it makes me really proud that long way you have come in over 5 years. It's been a wonderful journey that you have been having, and I feel fortunate to be part of your journey, and many more people who are there, part of our community who has been uh, with us in different walks of their career lives. So thank you again, and bringing this all together and inviting us. So Aina and I are currently colleagues as well as being good friends for last couple of years. And to introduce Aina, I would sum up in one line here is she is a wonderful example for a new immigrant to come down in Canada, create their own path. And she has been here for about 9 years, and she has been gone from being an international student to become an enterprise agile coach. She has done a phenomenal job in taking that course and course of making a career out of nowhere when she came in from Ukraine back in 2014, and if I remember the date correctly, and has done a wonderful job in the last 9 years. So we can all take inspiration from how you can make yourself into something like Canada is land of opportunities. That's how I said. It may take some time. It may require some perseverance on your part. It may require to you to be resilient, but if you keep on doing the right things, keep on connecting in the community, keep on connecting with the right people around, get into the right mentorship programs, get into the right mentors on your side, things could be different. And I will let Aina put more color into this, what I'm telling in perspective of her journey in Canada. And I see somebody has hands up. Like we will certainly get to the Q&A and have your say also, folks. But give us some time and let's first hear out from Aina about her journey into Agile World, how she changed course of action, how she make it a wonderful journey for herself and making a meaningful change to the lives of a lot of newcomers, Canadians, as well as globally. She is very active member in Israel community. She and I also do some lunch and learn sessions for last few months. So over to you, Aina, for sharing your wonderful journey in Agile World.
Thank you very much, Dhanesh, for this lovely introduction, and I hope everyone can hear me well right now. And Sadir, thank you very much for this event. So, yeah, as Dhanesh just mentioned, I had quite a hard time in Canada initially, being a newcomer. And it was 8.5 years ago, back in 2014, when LinkedIn wasn't used as well as it is used now. Basically, it was just a resume page where people connected with each other, and it was like a notebook with names and nothing else, no events, no networking, no friendship, nothing like that. So it was, I can say, harder to build your way in Canada compared to 2023, when we have all of these wonderful technologies where we can connect with each other, where we can communicate and see the other professionals and create wonderful networking events like we are having right now, and sharing knowledge. But let's get back to my journey. So I moved to Canada by choice, but it was rush choice because I am from Ukraine originally. So it started a war in the eastern part of Ukraine in 2014. So I decided it's now or never. I am just taking a small luggage and coming to Canada on a student visa, hoping to immigrate and settle here as soon as possible. And I was a professional before. My first degree is electrical engineering, and then I pivoted to project management. So I've been a project manager for a few years. But then here in Canada appeared that there is no room for you if you don't have a Canadian experience. I think everybody dealt with that in your Canadian journey. So, like, to fill in this gap, I started studying and also to get some extra points for my immigration program. So, I applied for MBA in technology in Vancouver, and I graduated from there. So, that was my pivot to technology. Because before I thought that if I want to pivot to technology, I just need to know how to code. And if you are not technical person, there is no way for you in technology. But no, guys, it's not true. There are leadership part in a technology, and leaders are very valued in the technology. So project management would work, also business like management, MBA, or like other business related certificates or professions such as product owner, business analyst. These people don't code as well, but they work in technology, and Scrum Master, the way how I entered the technology. But before I start working, so as I mentioned, I studied an MBA program and I worked as a Scrum Master for smaller startups in Europe or in the United States. I used Upwork to find these gigs to build my resume and to build my experience. I didn't want to have a gap in my resume for Canada. And meanwhile, I worked hard building the networking and building my Canadian presence. So I started with Toastmasters, and there actually when I was fully introduced to Agile and to Scrum Master role and people who've been running Agile community outside of being Toastmasters, outside of developing their public speaking skills. So that's how I got into a community. And to build my presence, to build my reputation, I needed to make sure that people see the value from me. So I started volunteering. I volunteered a lot, again, for like smaller startups and organizations, in addition to study MBA, and in addition to having gigs from Upwork, just to build an experience and also to bring my name to the public. And then I was introduced to a PMI community where people suggested me to take PMP certificate because hybrid works were also popular in Canada at that time. So while I was an MBA, I did my PMP and other certifications, but Dhanesh and I am going to speak later about the certifications. So I started volunteer in PMI, and that was a time when Agile started entering project management community as well. And so I became a speaker there on Agile topic, and it was very well received. And a few years later, the disciplined Agile came to the PMI world, and I became an evangelist from that perspective. So that's how I went publicly and started doing presentations online on LinkedIn. LinkedIn already provided the online platform. So I started presenting for Arabic Emirates with Discipline Agile, for the United States, for Europe, because it was a brand new topic. And that's how I started my career, I can say, like on LinkedIn, for the community builder and sharing the knowledge on Agile. But coming back to my work, so after I graduated from MBA, I finally was able to have a full-time job in Canada. And definitely it was a Scrum Master role because I already building my professionalism and reputation there. So becoming a Scrum Master appeared that I have agile mindsets, which definitely like needed to be polished based on skills and some like technical knowledge. But I had this servant leadership skill inside of me. So agile coaches liked me as a Scrum Master and started coaching and raising to their role. And eventually I became an agile coach. So that was my transition. To summarize, I was a project manager, then I studied an MBA program in Canada to get some additional immigration points and to be introduced into business and technology. Then I became a Scrum Master, and then I became an Agile coach after a few years and met Dhanesh. And now, as he mentioned, we're having lunch and learn sessions. And again, thank you, Sadira, for inviting me here and to share my story. So, Dhanesh, back to you.
Awesome, and I cannot stress it enough to all the newcomers and people who are facing some struggles in their learning curves or finding a job. We can take inspiration from Aina's journey, and just to put a little summary of Aina's certifications, she has done a wonderful bouquet of certifications, if you would put that way. She has done Scrum Master certification, which is called PSM. She has done PMI ACP, DAs, which is Disciplined Agile Scrum Master. She has done Kanban, she has done PMP, and she continues to ever evolve by doing different things. And she is also on the coaching community on. I'm not recalling which the distinct Forbes one, Aina. You're part of the Forbes Coaches Council.
Yes, I am.
Yep. So she is going places, and she's doing wonderful job in the community. So we also provide training, coaching, mentoring sessions and all, but I will not get there, and we are not here to promote any of our trainings and all. Rather, we will simply be talking about different certifications available, irrespective of whether we train or not. So there are different certifications that are available. If you want to be a Scrum Master, there is a PSM, there is CSM, there is SSM, there is SASM. You can go for PMI ACP, you can go for DASM. There are plenty.
Name. But this alphabet also helped me initially before recruiters and HRs knew me in Vancouver, where I started my journey, and then I moved to Toronto. So these certificates also help you in your branding on LinkedIn and branding your professionalism here. But even if you are not ready to do these well recognized certificates, LinkedIn also provides some courses and some certificates on their platform. So even if you start there, like something free, and start gaining your knowledge until you identify where your heart lean to what specific certificate, You can start with free LinkedIn courses and get LinkedIn certificates, and it's already better than nothing. So you will show to the world that you want to learn, that you want to grow, and you are actually growing and progressing.
Excellent, Anna. And we would like to also talk about the few transferable skills that are going to be there. And we identified as those like nine transferable skills that you could have from different certifications or different experiences, but those are going to be applicable in your workplace, no matter which domain or which area you are getting into. And I will name a few, and then we will get to the more, and we'll hear from Aina. So if you look at the perspective, Aina talked about being doing some volunteer work where she was going in and doing some mentoring sessions, teaching sessions, or coaching sessions. Those are the top three uh, transferable skills, and then a couple of more if I add there is like time management and active listening. You cannot stress upon enough that no matter what role you get into any organization, be it Scrum Master, product owner, analyst, or a technology person, you need to be an active listener. If you are not an active listener, you will miss out on the writing or words between the sentences, and you will miss out on the intent. You will miss out on some meaningful conversations. So active listening is one of the if you ask me if I have to put something as a centerpiece of the transferable skill, I will put active listening as one of the foundational skill, because that is certainly you need. And Aina, I would like you to talk more about few more transferable skills.
Yeah, of course. I would speak about time management because it was my recent problem, and Danish know, but I won't go into discussing the details. But it sounds basic. It sounds like if you work for enterprise, you need to manage your time first. You need to be present in the meetings. You need to come to meetings on time. You need to lead and to facilitate the meetings, and also as a Scrum Master or like any leading position in IT or like wherever this position is, first you manage yourself, you manage your time, and you manage your team, because people with hard skills or creative people, depends where you work, sometimes they forget about time. So you need to be an excellent time manager to be able to perform this work. And again, like nothing to technology yet, nothing to business. Sounds basic, but unfortunately, not all people working in the industry have this. And since I already started talking about facilitating, yeah, facilitating skill is another skill you need to have because you work with people. You set up the meetings. You need to be a speaking person at the meeting. You need to make sure that first, like you are actively listening to the people, what Danesh already mentioned, but the others are also listening. That people are engaged. That people are brainstorming the ideas. That all people are heard. And again, some people are mistaken what facilitator is. Sometimes they think that as a facilitator, you need to provide the ideas, you need to provide the decisions. No, you are not. Sometimes you are even not influencing the decision making. You have the smart people in the room for that. So, as a facilitator, you basically create an environment where the smart people in the organization are heard, that they are they bring value, and at the end the meeting goal is achieved. So to summarize, facilitator is someone who helps a group of people during the meeting to communicate effectively, to feel respected, to feel heard, to make sure that people collaborate, and we are reaching 100% of achieving our goals during the meeting. And Danesh, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of other things which are really good to have in your armor, as I call it. Like the more skills you have, the more useful you are going to be for any organization. So there are certain things like you should be an excellent negotiator. And negotiation here does not really mean that you are going to be in any scenario like those you see in the movies, like having negotiations that are being done at a high level and all. No, negotiation here means you should be able to understand each other needs and be able to trade off things. So it's more of a trade off. When you are in a working environment, you need to establish relationships, and those relationships are always going to be trade offs. You cannot have one way relationship in any of the areas. And I typically call 3C as a model, and 3C model is basically used in our those people who has experience with agility and have been working in the agile environment will understand 3C in the context of the user stories, but I call 3C in a different context, which is more of when you are trying to establish yourself in a new market. So I call it 3C in terms of conversation, collaboration, and community. So you need to be engaged in conversations, be active in the community, and collaborate with the community. So the more you do those 3 C's, the more you become um, attuned with what's going in the marketplace. You get your network up and running, and you get to um, understand what's going in the market, and you get to connect with the people. And as most of you have already understood, if not, let me tell you one thing. And as Sudhir also said in the beginning, Canada is not a very big market. It's a small market in terms of the technology, or otherwise also. It's just 1/10 of the United States, if you put it that perspective. And community, the more you are engaged in community, the more you are deep rooted in the community, the chances of you being known to people are going to be higher, and that have impact on how you are going to be viewed when you are going for interviews and all. So that certainly is going to have an impact out there. All right. So with that, I believe we have given you a lot of insight. So what we need to do is we need to focus upon making our conversation communications along with the community. And with that, I will let Sudhir to take center stage by asking the most asked question to him, because he is very actively working with a lot of newcomers, and he is facilitating a lot of community-based sessions. And Sudhir, I can really stress it upon again that I, I'm really, really proud of the progress you have been making. It's so wonderful to see you going places here. So let me ask that question from you, that what is the question you hear most? And let's get started with that. And I see Lucas has been waiting for some time, so we will get to
Yeah.
Lucas after that.
Thanks, Dhanesh. Thank you. So now we'll start with the Q&A, and I'll start. So if you want to ask questions, you can just raise your hand and become the speaker, come to the speaker panel and ask the question. But I'll start with the question, and this is purely focused on the job search. And before I ask the question, I just wanted to tell something that if you are working in the agile world in Canada, you have to have a very good network, because most of the scrum master roles goes through networking. Okay, means our friends or our the people whom I know, it's very important that you have to attend these meetup sessions, you have to do some presentations, you have to know other agile fellow folks who is currently working in Canada. It's very important. There is no question about it. If you want to thrive in agile, you have to build the network. Being said, I'll ask the first question. This is the most number of questions that I get, hundreds of questions, but this is one of the most commonly asked question, that I have a CSM certification, can I get a job as a scrum master if I don't have a prior experience of a scrum master, or how do I get started as a scrum master? This is the most commonly asked question. So in case you guys can answer that, or you guys can share your thoughts, that would be great.
Excellent question, Sudhir. And I think Aina uh, can really put really good insights. And then while she was talking about her experience, she just talked about that she started working as a volunteer for Scrum Master roles, as well as she did some gigs in using Upwork to build her experience in Scrum Master. So one thing which I would say here is, if you want to start yourself as a Scrum Master, start applying Scrum, how you work, how you go about your day-to-day work. Start applying Scrum, because Scrum is not only for the organization. Scrum and Kanban are the tools you can apply into your day-to-day lives also. You can apply it for your any household stuff, anything you are doing, any project you are doing, any project work you are doing in your household, also personal lives also, or the way you organize your day. It can be applicable anywhere. So stating that you don't have prior experience, you can start making that experience by working this way, and also volunteering into different engagements. Like there are a lot of sessions happens, and they need people who can be facilitators, who can be the scrum masters for that organizations. Like there is agile coach camp that happens, that's a 2 3 day event. There's a lot of coordination, facilitation, and all that is required. So those are the opportunities which are certainly going to take out of your time and not paid, because those are the volunteer activities. And you also need to have one thing there, is that your focus has to be very clear. The one of the biggest I would say drawback I see in the job search by newcomer friends is their focus is all over the map. They would want to showcase themselves master of all jack, and they will try to showcase, oh, we have done CSM, we have done PO role, we have done BA role, we have done coordination, we have done release management. See, that is going to confuse the interviewer, and before that it is going to confuse the person who is going to be screening your resume. And the chances of, if your resume is not focused on what you are looking for, and you have all the sprinkles of everything, it's like creating a cocktail out there. That's not going to work. So your structure of resume has to be very clear. You should try to find what is your actual target. If you want to be a scrum master, be focused on that. If you want to be a business analyst or product owner role, be focused on that. If you want to into agile project management, that is also still a stream that is running in parallel, because that's more of a hybrid work happening. There are some parts of the things are agile, some parts are not agile. So there are a lot of different opportunities, and there are different ways. And that's where the power of networking, power of your mentor-mentee relationships, and you being visible in the community is going to come to the forefront. Aina, would you like to add more on this?
Of course, I do. This is one of my favorite topics to
Yep.
share with you guys. Yeah, so just to emphasize and reiterate what Dinesh and said here, just said first. Canada is a small market, so building a community is a key to success here. And the way you start building the community will identify your future path, so whether it's going to be easier for you or not. So if you're a newcomer, you need to learn about ethics, about the communication, and definitely be helpful and polite during the events like this and during the networking opportunities. I know I say basic things, but I go on public quite often, and definitely people would like to connect with me and learn from me. But I see like some cases when people don't know how to start, and they push to connect, they push speakers, or they push their resume. So this is not the best start for you to build a community, or like to build a network while nobody knows you here in Canada when you are a newcomer. Another thing, again, to echo Danesh, don't be lazy on your resume. And initially, you do lots of work connecting, networking, you do it for free. You adjust your resume all the time. So lots of work initially, but then it will pay off when you build your network and reputation here. So again, even some experienced project managers and scrum masters sometimes send me their resume, and I see in their resume project manager slash scrum master and cocktail of the skills. And for example, in my organization, there is a clear position as a scrum master. So even when I read this resume and I know the person, I worked with this person, I feel like there is a cocktail and I need to spend time figuring out what they can use for organization I work for and what they need to delete. So even like for me, it gets time and effort to identify. So I just send them their resume back and say, if you want to apply for the organization I work for, clean it up first. You see there is a Scrum Master position. Apply for the Scrum Master. Delete the project manager and keep the skills, the project management skills, only if you see that the organization is looking for the skills. And I know for people like with a diverse background, they feel like, oh, I can do everything. So I'll just place everything in my resume, make it long, like 3 pages or so, and then I apply, and people will go through this and identify the skills they need, and then they call me back. Otherwise, I might miss something they really need, and so they wouldn't know that I can do it. But no, place yourself on the HR position. You receive 200, 300 resumes every single day. Every single day, let's say 200 resumes. Imagine how much time you have to go through this resume. So, as a candidate, you need to make it as easy as possible for the recruiter to go through the resume and to identify the skills they really need for the position. So again, go like carefully through the job description and adjust your resume all the time. Eventually, it wouldn't take you much time. And if you'd like, you also can mention cover letter. Like many, especially in the MBA world, recommend for you to send cover letter as well as resume. Again, depends on the organization, depends on the recruiters and people who are hiring. Some people prefer cover letters, sometimes don't. In my case, I sent a cover letter 50% of the time. But if you network, if you know someone who is already working in the organization, I never said a cover letter, and I went at least to the first round. But again, it's just my personal experience. I don't convince you that you don't have to write cover letter. But I mean that networking is a key to success in Canada. Dinesh, was that here? Back to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Dhanesh and Aina. Let's shoot with the other questions. Ambika.
Hey, Sudhir, sorry,
Yeah, Dhanesh.
sorry, Ambika. I had seen Lokesh being on long time. Has he? Oh, has
I
he
don't
dropped
see.
off?
I don't see him.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I okay, all right.
Okay, Ambika.
Hey, hi Sudhir, hi Dhanesh and Aina. Thank you for this session. It's really helpful. So, a little background of me: I do have a Scrum Master experience and as well as a Scrum Master certification. I recently got myself PMP certified, but as Aina said, I just had question like, since I recently got a PMP certification, does it make like me more approachable for jobs if I do have a PMI ACP certification or a safe one, because I am applying for jobs where I keep on seeing like I need to be a safe certified or so in that's my first question. And the second question is for the volunteer work that you did. That's really great, because it's taking time to find jobs. So I'm definitely sure that volunteering and gaining that experience is going to help my resume. I would really like to know more resources where I can find volunteer positions for Scrum Master as well. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, Ambika. So I will take your first question, which is about the certification, and as we were talking at the time of the certifications. So certainly you need to have a focus on the job market you are applying in and what the market pulse is. So as you yourself has said that you are seeing a lot of positions that are looking for the safe certifications, and you are now thinking about whether your PMI ACP is going to be a better choice or a safe certification. So I would answer it in this way. So if you are seeing your target job market asking for safe certifications and not for PMI ACP, my recommendation would be go for safe certification. If you want to do PMI ACP for your personal knowledge and having better understanding and include another certification in your certifications list, you can do that as well, but that's your personal choice. But from your job search perspective, since you already seen its safe certification, prioritize that over any other certification, because that is certainly going to help you open the door and get you at least the first round, from where it is all about your conversations with the interviewer or the panel of interviewers, and how you impress upon them. On the second question on volunteering thing, there are certainly a lot of organizations around, but I think Aina is more experienced in the volunteering area than I am qualified to speak on that. So I will give that question to Aina.
Thank you, Dinesh, and thank you, Ambika, for your question. And I think for the first part, you were answering it yourself, and you see like there is a demand on safe, so prioritize safe if you want to find a job as soon as possible. And I will share personal experience. So I used to work in a safe environment, but I wasn't safe certified. And I was looking for a job. One of my contracts ends, and I was looking for another one. So I was asked if I have safe experience, and I told yes, I have 2 years of safe experience. And then I was asked if I have a certificate, and I told no, I don't have a certificate, but I have 2 years in safe, and I don't remember how many, 5 years probably at the time, like in agile overall. And they told, oh, okay, but the client really needs a certificate. And at the end, they chose another candidate who had less years of experience in total, but had a safe certificate. And coming to the volunteering question, so what you can do in Canada, so first go to the branded organizations such as PMI. PMI also have some small agile part, and agilists who are also project managers, so you can start building your network there. Also look for any smaller communities on LinkedIn in Canada. And what's more, you can even organize your own community, and that's how you will make your first step in Canada. So I know there is an organization, Women in Agile, which has been running for a few years, but actually a woman who became a leader there, she just immigrated from Brazil, and she wanted to build a reputation. So I'm not sure if she established that community. I think it was existed, but not in Toronto. So she brought it to Toronto, and she organized experienced agile women who were already in Canada, who were like born and raised in Canada, around herself, and that's how she built the community. So it's not just you are volunteering for someone or something. You can also be a leader just coming to Canada, and I guarantee it will save you lots of time. I just didn't realize that I could do it, but you can, especially having this technology and opportunity to network online and on site. Also, if you don't see anything in the market, summertime is going to be slow, you can organize an on site event for Agilist, like pizza and beer somewhere, like network, connect, and learn about each other. So you even don't volunteer, but you already surround yourself with experienced people and people who are Canadians or spend some time in Canada. But again, to your question, if you are looking for the organizations, so anything related to a PMI or project management, anything you see on LinkedIn related to Agile. Toastmasters also can be a good start for you. It's not Agile related, but people build public speaking skills there. So there are lots of leaders, and maybe the organization is not transformed to Agile yet, but the leader is thinking about Agile. And here you are in Toastmasters, a Scrum Master, or someone who is interested in Agile, and you deliver a topic related to Agile, maybe not that specific to IT, but Agile in personal life, for example. And people can hear you, and they can hear that, oh, Ambika is a professional, so let me connect with her. And then even when they realize that you don't have a Canadian experience, but they already heard you speaking, and they already value you as the professional.
Thank you, Aina. And Ambika, we'll be having a lot of sessions soon, like meetups, where you will get a chance to talk to the fellow agile folks here in Canada. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for answering my
Yeah.
question. Yeah, thank you.
Hey Sajid. So Sajid was a speaker day before yesterday. We had a wonderful session of job seekers tips and tricks, and Sajid was the one of the two speakers who helped lot of who gave us a lot of information. So Sajid, do you have any questions or you want to add something?
No, I had a question which both Dhanesh and Aina answered very beautifully. So I'm pivoting from my original question of how you can apply agile methodologies in a job search. My question to either of you or any of those agile coaches is, when do you do the iteration and adaptive method in your job search? When do you know, or at which point of time do you make an iteration and change your job search strategy? Because you keep doing the same things again and again and again, and then you don't get result. At what point in time do you make the decision, okay, I need to make a change? And uh, how do you keep track of it? Or one, let's say you're not keeping track of it, how do you make that iteration?
That's a wonderful question, Sajid, and I must say that you have pivoted very well. So you are a agilist in yourself, I would say that way. So I give you credit for that. Uh, so see how I call it. I call it your pivots are going to be your learning points, and you are going to be pivoting. Uh, there is no fixed demand in terms of your pivoting that is required from your job search perspective or being up to date with the market. It is certainly uh, uh, something that is going to be your continuous improvement journey, and it is basically the pursuit of excellence on what you do and how you go about it. So the one thing that any newcomer can apply, or even people who are looking for job switch, they can apply, is they can simply start looking around what's going and what's trending in the market, how things are going, and have a conversation with the people. As I was saying earlier, those three C's: being connected in the community, having those conversations, and doing collaborations. And that is something which is you have to do day in, day out. You cannot put a stop to it. It's a pursuit of excellence which is required, whether you are working or you are looking for something or you are applying something. Everywhere you have to try and find ways to improve upon how you were yesterday to what you are today. So it's each incremental day. Even one small improvement will lead to 365 times improvement in your own persona over a course of a year. So it's basically you're applying agility to your personal life, your job life, your professional life, your search, everything on daily basis. Sajid, did I answer your question or did you get another pivot of question?
I got a lot of questions, but I leave it to the rest. Aina, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, first of all, nice to see you, Sajid. It's been a long time since
Long
Clubhouse,
time,
but
long time.
I feel like we are back to our Clubhouse rooms now. And I will share my journey of job search. So, as Danesh mentioned, it's an agile way. And again, agile is not just for IT, it's for everything, it's for your day-to-day life. And I forgot to mention previously, but when you apply agile wherever you do, also don't forget to mention about your experience on LinkedIn or wherever, like social media you use. So you first, you will provide value, and second, you will be seen as a professional. So my agile way of a job search, I look for jobs first on LinkedIn and few other job related websites. I figure out what jobs are applicable to me. I send the resume. I have the Excel sheet where I track what day I sent the resume, what company, what position, if I have feedback or not. So when I have, like, for example, a week when I keep sending the resume and don't have any even initial feedback, So it's time to retrospect, and it's time not to pivot yet, but to think whether I need to pivot or not. So I examine the process, because definitely something is wrong there. So first, I examine the job posting. So how long they've been on the website or on the LinkedIn, how many people are applied there. So if they've been for like more than 2 weeks, most likely nobody is going to reply to me. It's kind of like my own statistic. Again, it can be wrong. I just share my example. So maybe I'm applying to the wrong job postings, and I need to pivot my strategy there and start contacting recruiters directly or HR people directly. If I identify that everything is fine with a job posting, maybe there is something wrong with my resume. Maybe I need to adjust my resume. So again, agile in life, just adjust and see the feedback. So I adjust my resume and I send it to another companies, or sometimes even to the same companies, despite the fact it's not recommended, and see the results. If I started getting the feedback on my resume, maybe like one or two people contacted me from the second week of application. Okay, so my resume works fine. I keep doing it. Next week, again, I send the same resume. If there is only, again, like one or two people replied back, so again, resume is fine. Maybe I need to adjust it a little bit better. And this like retrospective way until I find out the best approach. So it's not like the ideal formula on when to pivot. It's just using agile mindset, evaluate yourself every day or every week, depends how many resume you send, and then see, depends on the result, you can pivot.
Thanks. That's a great insight. So let's move on to the next person, Arshdeep. Okay, seems like Arshdeep is not available. Mandagni. Did I
Hi,
pronounce it correct?
it's Madangi.
Oh,
Thank you,
Madangi.
Sudhir.
Sorry.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem. It
yeah,
happens actually
yeah.
more
Good,
with the
good.
difficult name. Thank you, Sudhir, Danesh, and Aina for this session, first of all. And thank you, Ambika, for asking the question, because initially my plan was to ask what are the resources. So, since you asked it already, I'm just changing my question. So, I just would like to know how is the market currently, because I understand more people are moving, are interested in the Scrum Master, and I see that internally the positions are getting filled up. So how far is the job post is really effective, or are we really seeing the market via LinkedIn, whatever job post we are seeing, or are they actually getting filled by interviews?
Maybe before Danesh answer that, I will call Sajid to answer that. Sajid can give some more insights to it. Sajid, do you want to take it up?
Yeah, so there is putting me in the spot. Okay, so Madangi, you're based out in
So
Ontario.
there is being agile, Sajid.
Yeah.
No, I'm in a difficult province actually. I'm in Quebec.
Okay, that's another challenge. Quebec, I don't have the numbers. I've never worked in Quebec and Montreal for tech roles, because there's a challenge if you of language there. So even as
Yes,
a
yes,
recruiter, I have a big challenge. And if I put a post, I have to put a post in two languages. And initial rounds, I have to do the screening in French. If I don't know French, it's going to be a challenge, right? So I don't know. No,
yes.
I'll give you an Ontario, right?
Yeah,
Ontario,
yeah. Fine, because I'm
February.
open to anywhere in Canada
Yeah, I'll
also.
just give you the statistics of Ontario. Ontario, I did a Scrum Master posting in February. I got close to 700 and something plus applications. Um, Unfortunately, what Danesh said, it is not physically possible for us to screen through all those candidates. I took the first 25 batch. I myself personally, so then what all Dinesh and Aina said, the importance of certification and all these things comes into play when you're filtering it. So filtered all those who had Scrum Master who was Scrum Master certified. I got 10 people, sorry, 7 people in that first batch. I put it in front of the hiring manager. The hiring manager shortlisted, I think, 5. Then in the second, I took a second batch of 20 25 people, and in that again I did some 7 8 candidates, and in that I think the hiring manager shortlisted 4 5. So with in less than 50 candidates, the hiring manager got 8 interviews, and he closed the position. So that is numbers for you.
Wow. Okay.
So
Thank you
if you
so
ask
much.
me what happened to the rest 650, they are still in the pipeline in my database. I would say 80% of them are Scrum Masters certified. At least 20 25% of them have already have Canadian experience. These are people who are actively looking in the market. This is in February, and I'm sure right now there are more number of people.
Yeah, just adding to that, even if I had applied it through the website, okay, and my resume is not good or it is not going through the ATS, I would be in the remaining 650, not getting selected. So this is where the networking comes into place and the resume comes into place. The top 10 resume or top 20 resumes are the one who is the game changers. And networking means if I know Sajid had an position open, so I will call Sajid, I am looking out. Can you just check it? So at that time, what happens is Sajid, I'll be in the first top 1 or 2 persons where Sajid will be pushing it to his hiring manager saying that I know Sudhir for so and so time, check his resume. So that is actually called the referral. That is where the networking, the power of networking comes into picture here in Canada. It's very very important, and I'll let Dhanesh add to the like what Sajid said. Dhanesh.
Just a quick tip, Sudhir. Instead of connecting with recruiters, you need to connect with people like Sudhir, Dhanesh, Aina, Ambika, or all the Scrum Masters, because that is where you build your network, not connecting with recruiters. So that is one mistake that most people do. Connect with fellow Scrum Masters, project managers, and Agile methodologists.
Yeah, so I'm building a kind of agile community here in Canada with those who I know. So, in case anybody wants to join that community, please PM me in LinkedIn. I'll add you guys into those communities. Danesh.
Yeah, and I think Sajid said it wonderfully. Like, you connect with the community. I go back to that 3C: community, collaboration, conversations. That is not going to be beaten by anything. Your job search strategy, your job pivot strategy, your finding a new career path for yourself, or you want to get progress in your chosen career path. That is what you need to do. Community, and the community here is community of agilists, community of technology people, community of whatever area of work you are in. Mostly here are agilists, so certainly you need to be active, be seen, be heard, and be known, and that's what makes it lot of difference. And as Sajid said, when he was looking into getting the resumes to be put to the hiring manager, how structured and focused your resume plays a big role in getting you be part of that first set. And I think Sudhir, you also called out that that is important. So I just don't want to repeat these things, but I think these are the basics you need to apply. And going back to basics is always the way how you can improve upon.
Yeah, just adding to that resume thing, that's very important because I started applying the jobs in a Jan 5th, I started applying for the jobs, and until April 15th, I got zero interview calls. Then what I did is I spoke to Danesh and I asked for his help. He helped me, and in the next 15 days we fixed the resume. We brought the resume down from up from 4 pages to 1.5 pages. So I removed all the unwanted things which is in the resume, which was in the resume. So I was sad to remove it, but I had because I had done those things. But Danesh said it is irrelevant. remove those things, and I removed 65% of my content, resume content. And on May 2nd, I applied for the jobs, and by May 18th, I had got 13 interview calls, 13 calls which got converted into the interviews. So that is the importance of having the resume. 4 months I kept on applying, zero interview calls, but the moment I fixed the resume, within 16 days I got 13 interview calls. The reason is because I keep all these things in my Excel database, and I have the count correct, so I regularly revisit these things. So having a wonderful resume is the key to success, that is very much required on top of your networking.
Resume is your face to the recruiter.
That's right. Okay, so if anybody wants to know how the resume should be, I have published the YouTube link, and you can go to those our previous session URLs where we have clearly explained how the resume should look like. Okay, so let's move on to the next person. We will take another couple of more questions because it's almost time. We'll run for another 5 minutes. Okay, Siddharth.
Thank you, Sudhir, and thank you for hosting these meets. So I just want to give a little bit of background. I was a database admin, and when I came to Canada, I got rejected because they said I didn't have Canadian experiences. This is back 5 years. Forward that, I took up anything that I came my way back in 2018. Started as a even call center rep. From there, I rose to being a BA. In between that, I started working on getting certified as a Scrum Master. And unlucky me, got in between of the reorgs, and had to, I was taken off from the company. But then now I'm working as a delivery lead manager. But I am interested still in the career transition phase, where I am looking to enter the agile market. And I probably, it's already answered, but I wanted to know, how do I go about, even for when Aina mentioned that PMI ACP is something that needs to be looked into. I have already worked on it in terms of getting educated on it. I'm waiting to apply the certification. So I just want to know, like, as having some experiences, it's not something that I don't have, but how do I go about that? And if for volunteer, how do I do it with already something that I'm working full time?
That's an
Aina?
interesting
Aina?
question.
Yeah.
It is more of a pivoting of your career question, Siddharth, right? So certainly, there are multiple things that you can do, and you as already evaluating some certifications and all. And in terms of volunteering, see, volunteering does not really need to be extensive that you need to go and do 5 day volunteering or 20-hour volunteering. Volunteering could be just as small as just spending 2 to 4 hours per week, and there are different organizations where you can do volunteering, and there are chapters for PMI who are also organizing a lot of things over the weekends, which are a couple of hours to 3 to 4 hours sessions, which are there, getting to know there and be part of growing the community. Goes back to the basics: be seen, be heard, be known in the community, collaborate with people, have conversations with the people. And as far as certifications go, I would stick to my earlier recommendation. Look at the marketplace, hear from the people who are already working in that area where you want to make your job switch, and go for the certification that is most desired by the hiring managers or the hiring organizations. Irrespective of what I have to say, I may say, oh, PMICP is great, or I may say SAFE is great, but that may not be in the right area for where you are looking for the job, right? So just do your research, find someone who can guide you to identify the right certification.
Okay.
Aina, you want to add something?
I agree on what Danesh said, and myself and Danesh, we also have full-time job and we volunteer, so we find some time for that, and it shouldn't be like 20 hours or 40 hours. Volunteer as many hours as you feel like you can volunteer. And again, like some volunteering organizations, they are not that experienced, so like to set up ground rules initially, it's the key to success. So like more experienced organizations, they ask you how many hours you are ready to volunteer weekly to set up the expectations. If they don't ask you that, you need to bring this up to the table. You volunteer your own time. So during the conversation, you might say that I like your company, I want to volunteer for us, but I can dedicate, for example, 4 hours weekly. Is it fine or not? So if it's fine, you can volunteer. If it's not fine, if they need more hours, just find another organization. Or again, as I already said, set up your own community, your own event. I started running lunch and learns on my own just to build a community around me, and now I have many people coming for me to speak. And Danesh is my friend and partner on that. And for career pivoting, again, it's harder to pivot, just jumping somewhere you don't know exactly where you're jumping into. So start pivoting slowly, explore the market, don't be desperate, keep your current job or current position wherever you are, and contact with people. And I will share what you can't do while you're networking. Don't reach out to people, for example, agile coaches or like myself or Danish, saying, Hi, I've been to one of your events. I've listened to you speaking. I am desperate. Find me a job. In this case, nobody is going to find your job. It's your responsibility to find your job. Most likely, you will be ignored. Danesh and I are polite. We will respond to you, but we will reply that, sorry, we don't know you. We are not going to look for a job for you. Or like, again, if you don't know the person, but you see that this person is working in the organization you want to apply, don't reach out to a stranger asking, please refer me to your organization. Again, put yourself on a place of that person, and that person have no idea who you are. We can't place our reputation on a stake referring someone we don't know. So build your reputation slowly here. First introduce yourself, then figure out what these people are doing and how you can help, how can you contribute to these people. So for example, Satir is running this event, so it's great that you guys came up on stage and asked your questions. So your names are already in people's memory. If you don't speak up, you might listen to us talking, but we don't know you. The same when you network on LinkedIn or you network on site. Don't ask people to do something for you right away. Don't ask people to look you for jobs. Again, first think what you can give to the community, and then definitely community will give you back.
That's
I
great.
have a sub question for what Siddharth asked. Uh, what about non-for-profit? Why aren't people targeting non-for-profit for jobs or volunteer work?
From my experience, it's harder to start with profit work when you're a newcomer and people ask you for Canadian experience. So, for non-profit, it's easier to entry because not many people want to dedicate their time for free, and it's not bad. People have families, people have kids, people have regular jobs, so they just don't need to. But for newcomers who are experienced, especially in their own countries, they come to Canada, they want to prove themselves. So the first proof is to work for non-profit, to dedicate less than 40 hours, like 2, 4, 6 hours weekly, and then get the first referral, get the first feedback and the first trust. And then with this trust, you can go to the profit organization and say that that person is running a non-profit and they recommended me because I dedicated my free time. So it's the second level of respect. Like first, you have a referral from Canada, and second, you dedicate your free time So as a recruiter or like as an HR, I would see like, oh, this person is a team player, this person is ready to help. So in case if needs for our organization, this person will be a team player and maybe spend 1 or 2 hours extra for the sake of our project and for the sake of their team.
And that was a wonderful insight there by Aina. And Sajid, you probably provoked the thought process, which probably I was missing to guide on in this conversation today. There are a lot of organizations who are doing work in the community, and that goes back to the community work, right? And certain organizations are even uh, making those at least making some payment. It's not going to be at par with what organizations or for-profit organizations are paying, but they even make some payments for the work being done for them. And they always try to look for volunteers who are going to help them, support them in doing some good work for the community. And that could be as simple as there are food drives, there are the community work, there are cleanup work, and you never know who you can meet in those drives sometimes. And I do not want to get into my personal experiences there, but I have met couple of CEOs as part of those drives who come to the like those events like in your neighborhood, you go to park cleanups and all. I have met CEOs who do the volunteer work there, and we strike the conversations, and that has that has opened the door for many people from my known community because I introduced them to those people, and then someone was the right fit and got hired. So that can happen to you as well. So keep your all channels open.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Dinesh. We'll take a last question. It's going to be 10:10. And Bharat,
Thanks, Sudhir, for organizing this wonderful event, and thanks, Dhanesh, Aina, and
Bharat, sorry. If anybody wants to ask any question after this, please feel free to reach out to us through the LinkedIn, and we will be happy to answer that. Yeah, Bharat, go ahead.
yeah, thanks, Sudhir. So currently, I work as a robotic process automation developer, automating business processes for companies. And I have worked as a business analyst and systems analyst in the past. And I also have taken formal project management courses in my master's degree. I'm just wondering, how do I start working in the field of Agile and Scrum and be a Scrum Master? I mean, I know certifications are a great way to start, but now that I'm already working in a company, how can I start practicing some of these techniques to gather work experience and in parallel to certification so that I can transition from what I currently do to what I want to become, which is a Scrum Master?
Another awesome question, Bharat, and that's again it's the pivoting your career, but I think you are very well placed to do that move, and that is move which you can do laterally in your current organization itself. Your organization is adopting agility, and RPA is an area which is fairly good suited from agile adoption perspective also. So it is not necessary for you to get a formal title first or being a formal scrum master. You could be a situational scrum master or you could be a situational facilitator, and that's how you can hone your skills in your current organization, right? So I can give you quote you couple of examples. I have multiple teams that I'm coaching, and out of those teams, there are multiple folks who would step up, and those are pure technical people like yourself who are doing RP automation or mainframe development or Java or .NET, whatever. They are different roles they are playing, but they are the situational Scrum Master, and the people who take up that uh, role as a volunteer, they are the ones who gets into the highlight, and they are the ones who get to understand that role better, and ultimately they will be able to make move in their career. And we have seen that career move being done by a couple of our senior folks from transitioning from one role to another, and even vice versa, like somebody who was not really feeling great about being a scrum master, that person switched back to a BSA role, and the another person who was looking to become a Scrum Master. He became a Scrum Master after demonstrating his facilitation skills and showing the right mindset within the same organization. So it's not that you need to look outside only. You can look inside as well and try to continue working on those transferable skills that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I can just add to that, Bharat, what Daniel just mentioned is great. If you are already in the organization, it's much easier to gain skills than you are outside of the organization in general. Network inside of your organization, network outside as well if you'd like, but inside you can make like a network among other Scrum Masters if you want to pivot to Scrum Master role or Agile coach, and ask to shadow their work, ask to shadow the team, ask for mentorship. If your organization provides like Agile mentorship or like Agile coaching community who raise a talent, it doesn't matter like if you're a Scrum Master or however you is. If you are interested and if you reach out to the people inside the organization, it's much easier, because if someone reach out to me in the organization I currently work for, and I can tell you few people reach out, I am not their direct coach, but we work in the same organization, so we work for the same goal. So when I have time, I coach them, I help them with their like career progress and where they want to pivot. And in the large organizations, there are like plenty of work to do, like if you have some time even outside of your job description. So people in your organization can help you with this task. You can also volunteer to something which could help you to career progress. And then you can ask for the recommendation. And one guy reached out to me recently from one of my teams. He was a developer, but he wants a career pivot. And while we've been working, while I've been coaching him, I saw the enthusiasm, I saw the learning, I saw the progress, I saw him stepping out of his comfort zone, and I gave my recommendation as a coach. So, like tomorrow, do your research in the organization who is the closest person in your current organization who can help you with this pivot.
Thank you, Aina and Dhanesh, and thank you, Sajid, also for joining. I think we are already 15 minutes past the in time. But anyways, this was a great session, and thanks a lot for everyone for joining. As I said, we are slowly building the Agile community here. So you can buzz me in LinkedIn in case you want to be a part of it. And we will continue this meetups, and I have invited few more speakers in the upcoming weeks. I'm just working on their schedules. They will also help us in understanding how the Canadian market works, or how they'll actually help you in your career growth. And just wait for those events. And in the meantime, we have the WhatsApp group. In case you are a job seeker, you can PM me in LinkedIn. I'll try to add you guys into the WhatsApp group. So we try to share the jobs whichever is coming our way, and that actually helps a lot of job seekers. And I think that's all. And thank you, special thanks to Aina and Dhanesh for accepting my invite and coming as a speakers. Dhanesh and Aina, any closing comments?
Thank you, Sudhir, for inviting us, and we are happy to join in for another session. I think there is a lot of interest and a lot of unanswered questions today, so we will be happy to join you back and have that conversation as our mutual schedules permit. And it's wonderful to see Sajid again and have this conversation with all of you. Please focus on three C's. Look, focus on daily continuous improvements, what you can do and how frequently you need to pivot. You have got a lot of insights from Aina, Sajid, Sudhir, and we are always there to support our Agile community as the case may be. Thank you again, Sudhir, and thank you,
Thank you.
Aina, for joining in.
And thank you, Dinesh, for being my partner tonight. Again, sat here, and Sajid, was nice to see you. Ambika, Bharat, Madanji, Siddharth, thank you for your amazing questions and participation. And guys, do your research first, research the market. what certificates and what skills are needed in the market you want to apply. Research in your inner circle if you already work for the organization. Research who can help you there, and think what you already can provide to the community. Think about your transferable skills, work for the community, and then definitely community will pay you back. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. So, have a good night and good luck for all the job seekers out there. And let's work together to build the Agile community here in Canada and try to help out each other. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. See you in the next session then.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you so much. Good night, guys.